Chapter 17 of Night by Elie Wiesel. Never shall I forget that night, the first night in camp that turned my life into one long night 7 times sealed. Never shall I forget that smoke. Never shall I forget the small faces of the children whose bodies I saw transformed into smoke under a silent sky. Never shall I forget that fire that took my faith forever. Never shall I forget the silence of the night that took away my desire to live. Never shall I forget those moments that murdered my God and my soul and turned my dreams to ashes. Never shall I forget those things, even if I were to live as long as God Himself. Never. Chapter 18. The barrack we had been assigned to was very uncomfortable. I thought, this is what hell must look like. So many angry men, so much shouting, so much despair. Dozens of prisoners were there to meet us, sticks in hands, hitting anywhere, anyone without reason. The orders came, strip, hurry up, hold on only to your belt and your shoes. Our clothes were to be thrown on the floor at the back of the barrack. There was a pile there already, new suits, old ones, torn coats, rags. For us it meant true equality, nakedness. It was so cold. The blows continued to rain on us. To the barber! Belt and shoes in hand, I let myself be dragged along to the barber's. They shaved every hair on our bodies. My head was buzzing. The same thought over and over, not to be separated from my father. Freed from the barber, we began to walk around the group, finding friends, neighbors. Every meeting filled us with joy. Yes, joy. Thank God you are still alive. Some were crying. They used whatever strength they had left to cry. Why had they let themselves be brought here? Why didn't they die in their beds? They talked and cried with each other. Suddenly, someone threw his arms around me in a hug. Yehiel, the brother of one of my friends from school. He was weeping tremendously. I thought he was crying with joy at still being alive. Don't cry, Yehiel, I said. Don't waste your tears. Not cry? We're near to death. Soon we shall be killed. Do you understand? How could I not cry? I looked out into the darkness. I no longer was afraid. I was overcome by exhaustion. The absent no longer entered our thoughts. One spoke of them. Who knows what happened to them? But their destiny was not on our minds. We could not think clearly. We no longer held on to anything. I thought of us as lost souls walking through the void, souls forced to walk through the darkness until the end of time, seeking home, but without ever finding it. Chapter 19. Around 5 o'clock in the morning, we were exiled from the barrack. The Nazi soldiers were beating us again, but I no longer felt the pain. A cold wind was blowing. We were naked, holding our shoes and belts. An order, run! And we ran. After a few minutes of running, a new barrack. A bowl of horrible-smelling liquid stood by the door. Cleaning liquid. Everybody soaked in it. Then came a hot shower. All very fast. As we left the showers, we were forced outside, in order to run some more. Another barrack. The storeroom. Very long tables. Prison clothes. As we ran, they threw the clothes at us. Pants, jackets, shirts. In a few seconds we had stopped being men. Had the situation not been so horrible, we might have laughed. We looked pretty strange. A very tall man wore a child's pants, and one skinny little man was wearing a huge jacket. We immediately started to switch clothes. I looked over at my father. How changed he looked. His eyes looked empty. I wanted to tell him something, but I didn't know what. The night had passed completely. The morning stars shone in the sky. I too had become a different person. The student of Talmud, the child I was, had been eaten by the fire. All that was left was a shape that resembled me. My soul had been eaten by a black fire. So many events had taken place in just a few hours that I had completely lost all sense of time. When had we left our homes? In the ghetto? In the train? Only a week ago? One night? One single night? How long had we been standing in the freezing wind? 1 hour? A single hour? 60 minutes? Surely it was a dream.